Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Bookmark by Aaliyah. Welcome if you're new here, or welcome back if you've been here before. We are about to do my October wrap up. I read 10-ish books because I DNF'd one, and we'll talk about that one. But I read 9 books, so let's see what I thought about them. All right, y'all. I think I had my best reading month so far as the number of books that I read. I read a lot of books, seems like, for me, because usually I read between like 6 to 8, but I actually attempted 10 books. So if I would have actually finished one, I would have had 10 books, and that's more than I usually do. But the quality of the books that I read, they were okay, but I had like a lot of mid ones and some good ones, and I had some whatever ones. So first one. So we have The Davenports. So this was my first book of the month. I was so excited to read this book because I saw so many good reviews on it, and it was giving like Bridgerton, and I love Bridgerton. I love anything Bridgerton. I love anything Queen Charlotte. So to see like Black Bridgerton, I was here for it. So this book is set in 1910, I think, Chicago. And it follows a lot of people. So in the beginning of this book, I was very confused because it was a lot of people. I think because that was a month ago, y'all, the brain don't brain like it used to. So there's 3 siblings, 2 sisters and a brother. I think it's John, Helen, and Olivia, maybe. And then there's their childhood friend turned maid, like house help or whatever. I can't remember her name. Something Rose, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. It's her. And it's following, each chapter is another character. So you're following all these characters. I can't remember what I gave this. I think it was like a 3 or 3.5. I was low-key disappointed in this because I wanted to love this book. But like by that 60% mark, it was just like, okay, let's go. Because I don't know. It was just, I love the aspect of like a wealthy Black family in the 1910s in Chicago. So that concept pulled me in, but the story was just, I don't know. There were secrets. There was drama with each sibling and the friend, their love interests, all the twists and turns that happened with everybody. Like, I liked it, but something was just missing. I don't know what was missing. I don't know. I wanted to like this more than I did. So, I mean, that's obvious. I'm probably not going to go to the second book because the second book, I haven't heard really great reviews about it. People were pretty much disappointed in that. So, and in the second book, I don't even know if it follows all 4 characters or if it's just the one. Ruby? I don't know what her name was. So, this book was okay. Dive in if you want to because people love this book. So, I'm not trying to say don't read the book. I'm not mad that I read it, but I wanted more from it, if that makes sense. Then I have The Thorns Remain by Jennifer Hartman and Shelley St. Clair. I love Jennifer Hartman, as you all know, or don't know, but I love Jennifer Hartman. This was like a combo author type of deal. So I was kind of excited to read it because I love Jennifer Hartman's writing. So I was kind of, really interested to see how it would work with like the dual author thing. Because I don't know that I've read any books that had like a double author. So I will say this, in the beginning of this story, I could tell that it was the other author. Not that the other author was bad, but if you know, you know. Jennifer Hartman has a way with her words, the way they flow to make the most silliest, cringiest things still sound beautiful. It just wasn't doing that, but it's almost like, okay, you write the first 10 chapters, I'm gonna write the last 10. Because that's how the book kind of went for me, the way it felt. So when it was all... And it could have gone like that for all I know because this follows, it's a married couple. I don't remember their names. It follows a married couple. The wife basically cheats on the husband. It's not quite a cheating trope. So if that's not your jam, it's not like hardcore cheating trope. It's kind of just talking about what happened before. It's not like actively describing the cheating. So she cheats on him, and his whole purpose in life is to get revenge. He's going to seek out the guy that his wife cheated with, his wife, woo her, and try to hurt the guy the same way he was hurt because he loved his wife. Loved his wife. And he's just out for revenge. But so he finds the guy's wife, and he ends up falling for her. So as angry as he was, and the vengeance that he was seeking, it was kind of falling slowly away because he started falling for her. He realized, like, oh man, you're like a really good person. Like, I really like you, you know? So, but when he was all like angry man and vengeance was what he was after, you could tell it was the other author writing. But when they actually fell in love and it was beautiful, you could tell it was Jennifer Hartman's writing. But everything that went in between, all the twists that came with this, it was a decent read. Did I love this book? No, absolutely not. I didn't love it. It was okay, but it's not going to stop me from reading Jennifer Hartman because I just want to read everything. I want The Wrong Heart next by her because I hear that's a really good one. Like, a lot of her books kind of, they almost like make you think like, what would I do in that situation? All of her books that I've ever read always make me think, dang, that's a tough situation to be in. What would I do? You know, so that's that. And again, as always, I'll put my ratings up here because, like I said, the brain doesn't brain. And I don't remember sometimes what I rated them. So then I read One of Us is Dead by Geneva Rose. I'm on a journey right now to finish books that I know I bought this time last year. So anything I bought in the fall and winter, I'm trying to read those up before this year is done. We are not going into 2025 with books I bought in 2023. That's just not going to work for me. So Geneva Rose, she is definitely a hit or miss author for me. I love the majority of the things she's written. I love The Perfect Marriage. I love the rom-com It's a Date Again. You Shouldn't Have Come Here wasn't one of my favorites at all. It was a decent read, but not one of my favorites. And this kind of is up in between all of that. This follows 4 bougie women from Buckhead, Georgia, Buckhead, Atlanta, the area, and all their secrets, all their petty drama. These women are so petty. They're so messy. So it's not a thriller. I will say that. It's labeled as a thriller, so I labeled it as a thriller, but it's really not a thriller. It's more like a domestic thriller. I don't know what you would call this. I really don't. But if you read anything like Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, it kind of falls in that category to me. There was nothing thrilling about it, nothing, but there were a lot of twists. It was very suspenseful. I'll put it that way. It was a decent read. Go pick it up if you just kind of want something light that's not a thriller, but it's not just straight up fiction. This would be perfect for you. And it's pretty easy. It's not that long at all. It's 85 chapters, but it's like 300 some pages. But it was a quick read if you're, you know, interested in picking up another Geneva Rose one. Then I have Somebody's Wife. This has taken me a long time to read as well because I've never read this was my cheating month trope, I guess, because I've never read anything where there was like cheating going on. And you know, that's just not my jam. When you're married or you're in a committed relationship, reading about that makes you side eye your partner when he's asleep. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you over there doing when I'm not with you? You know, it make you a little crazy. So I know me, and I don't want to even put that kind of stuff in my mind. But I went on and read it because everybody was talking about how good it was. And yes, there is a cheating trope. Nobody ever deserves to be cheated on. But Gemma's husband was a POS. And he was doing his thing as well. Not that it makes it right. Were they separated? Yes, but it's just the point. You know what I mean? But that Ezekiel Green that she got with, that's a man. That was a man. He really took care of her. Her needs were number one to him. I loved it. So basically that was the summary of the book. So this follows Gemma and her husband, college sweethearts. They were together. They end up, you know, building a life together, but the life just wasn't what she thought it was going to be basically when they were younger. And she just stuck it out for the kids. So she ends up meeting a guy at the workplace and they hit it off, and she's feeling things she's never felt before, you know, because she's never been with anybody else because she was so young when she got with her husband, and she's experiencing things she's never experienced before. And the relationship between them was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I'm very interested to see where they went after this story ended. So I think I probably will at some point pick up the second one to this. Then I have In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife. This one, again, I bought last fall, and I was like, I gotta read this. Why am I putting this off? Y'all? This was a good one. It had like 347 characters in it. No, not really, just like 7, but that was a lot to keep up with. So this follows a group of friends, and it's 7 of them. And while they're in college, one of the girls in the friend group gets killed. And it's now their 10-year reunion, college reunion, and they're all there. And some kind of way it comes up that they are going to try to figure out who the killer was, because they know one of the ones in the friend group is the one that's guilty. And just the I can't even call it dual timelines, because it was multiple timelines. So I was very confused, but it was like a pleasantly confused, because I didn't really mind it. So it's 7 of them. You going between now, which is at homecoming that weekend, and past chapters, but it's not like in chronological order for the past. So it's not like we're starting from their freshman year to their senior year. So you might go with a now chapter. Next chapter might be freshman year. Next chapter might be senior graduation. Next chapter is now. Next chapter is sophomore year. You know, so it's all over the place. But I was getting irritated at the very beginning, not gonna lie. But as I was about that 50% mark, every time they went back a chapter, back to the past, it had something to do with how the now chapter ended, and it explained things there. So it kind of made sense. So do not let that throw you off like, oh, this book is all over the place. There's 50 people in it. I can't read this book. Just keep going. I promise. Just keep swimming, like Dory said. So this was a good one. I do not regret a minute of this book. I highly recommend that you read this if you want to like really, really suspenseful type of thriller. It got a little silly at the end, but other than that, it was fine. All right, y'all. Then I have Yellow Wife, another book that I have been putting off, and I don't even know why. I don't know why. I just, a mood reader. You know how sometimes you got a bunch of books, you want to read all of them, but it's just like, man, do I feel like reading about this right now? Because, if this book is set back during slavery. So sometimes as Black people, as Black women, I don't know about you, but for me, it's kind of hard to read these kind of books sometimes, because we know what happened. We were raised to know these stories. We're educated on slavery. However, to actually read about it or like watch a movie like 12 Years a Slave or something like that, like you get pissed. I'm talking about pissed, because it's just like, why? Like what we do, So I don't know if you feel like that as a Black person, but I do. So sometimes I will put off reading a book that's set back in this time until my head is right, because it just makes you feel a certain type of way. And I don't like to have a lot of hate in my heart. So it makes you feel a certain way. So anywho, this follows Phoebe, and she is a mixed race girl. And clearly you know why she's mixed race, but another story. Mixed race girl. She's growing up. It starts with her as a teenager, and she's in a household with her father, which is the master, and obviously his wife. And it's hard to explain this book. It really is. I just put it in one sweet sentence. It's her during a time of slavery, being a mixed race girl, and all the drama that can come with that. And I'm going to leave it at that, because I don't want to spoil a thing. I hadn't heard anything about this book except that it was good. I heard no details. I read no reviews. So if I were you, I would go into this kind of blind so you can see where her life goes and the life of her children, because it follows her from like teenage years, I'm assuming, to like early 20s and later. But just go into this book and just trust me. This is a good one. This is a good one. It is not long at all. It's pretty short. I think it's under 300 pages, honestly. It's like, 260 some pages. Just go read it. 5-star. I remember this. 5-star. All right. Then I have So Not Meant to Be, the second book in the Kane Brothers series. The first one was A Not So Meet Cute. Love that book. I laughed so hard with the first book. So as always, the second book I never predicted to be as good as the first one, because like you're just pleasantly surprised when you have such a good book that the second one is just never going to work out. Sometimes it does, but most times it's not as good. This wasn't as good, but I still loved it. Now I did read reviews on this one, and it was very hit or miss. People either hated it or they loved it. Kelsey, they talked about so bad in the reviews. So anywho, this is about the Kelsey, which is the Lottie's sister in the first book, and JP, which is Huxley's brother in the first book. So this follows their story. At the end of that story, you kind of see that JP was feeling Kelsey, but Kelsey wanted nothing to do with him. And she couldn't stand him. She thought he was just like a womanizer, you're just a pretty rich boy, you know, because all of the brothers are billionaires, and I love a good billionaire romance, but she didn't like him. So this is an enemies to friends to lovers story. The banter was still there. I still cracked up a lot of times. I love dry humor. I absolutely love dry humor, because when you have dry humor, you're not like trying to be funny. You're just kind of being sarcastic and just being a jerk, but it's so funny. Kelsey, I do agree with some of the reviews. She was a little insufferable, but I didn't hate her like that. You know, I've read way worse characters. So second one in the series, loved it. Definitely gonna pick up the third one when I need that good, light, fluffy read. And this is what I needed after some of those other books that were a little darker. They were a little, you know, like thrillers and stuff. So I needed like a good rom-com to, you know, get me out of that. So highly recommend this one too. Just know it's not, if you had that feeling like I did with the first one, you're not gonna get as much of it, but it was still a cute story. I still love the story. Y'all, I did it. I read my first fantasy. Y'all. I cannot believe it. I just wanted to try it. I buddy read this with one of my friends, Gina Loves to Read, and we loved it. It was so different, so action-packed. I've never read anything like this before. Am I going to call myself a fantasy girly? Absolutely not, because this was very hard to follow. All these names and this language that they had, oh my God, it was so hard to follow. And I was confused for about 97% of the book. But at the same time, I understood it. But because I'm still kind of confused about it, it's hard to tell you what this is about. This is about a young Black girl named Bree. She's going to like an early college, and she finds out while she's there, her mother just passed. She finds out while she's there that she has these powers. She's wondering why she can see these things, why she can do these things. She gets in a group of people that have similar powers to her, and it's her journey of becoming Legendborn. Again, I'm still confused. You know how you can have a thought up here, but you can't let it come out your mouth? That's where I am with this book. I don't know how to describe it, but I loved it. So I really do say, I will say this. If you've never read fantasy before, I don't have anything to compare it to, but honestly, I probably wouldn't start with this because it was very hard to follow. There's so many groups of people that you have to follow. It's like watching Game of Thrones, all those families, and it's too much. So, but it was good at the same time. Same way Game of Thrones is good at the same time. And I don't know anybody in that, but I like to watch it. So I don't know, y'all, but this was good. However, I attempted to read the sequel because I was like, I cannot wait. You know how I like to break up my series. I don't like to read series back to back to back to back. I want the story to get old a little bit to me, and I want to come back to that world to be like surprised again. But something like this, where I barely understood what the heck was going on in the first place, I had to kind of get into this sooner than later. And my friend encouraged me to do so. She was like, look, I'm going to forget everything. We need to read this now. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm reading, and I'm reading, and I'm reading, and I'm not getting any of the feelings that I got with that first one. None. And it's not because, oh, I knew what to expect. It wasn't like that type of deal. But this just didn't do it for me. It was taking too long to go somewhere. It was, I don't know. So I DNF'd it. And it's not, I said I was going to soft DNF it, but let's be real. I got like 40 books on my physical TBR. I'm not coming back to this. I'm not. So we're going to take this as a loss and call it a day. So you may love it. If you understood what was going on in Legendborn, you might be okay with this. But like, it kind of threw me off just because it just wasn't doing it for me. I was like, So DNF this one. One book that I read on my Kindle was The Boyfriend, Frida McFadden. So Frida, me and Frida been having a very rocky relationship, and for the last 2 books that I've read by her. So I was like, okay, now I've been anticipating this book for a minute. You better come with it. So she didn't come with it, but she didn't do as bad as she did in the other 2. So I'll give her a little credit for that. The main male character in that is crazy, like crazy. The female main character, just dumb. I don't know, like dumb. All of Frida McFadden's characters to me are pretty dumb, you know, except like Millie and the first 2 housemaids. And the one girl in Never Lie. Those are my top 3 by her. The 2 Housemaids and Never Lie. And I feel like it's another one. I can't think of it right now though. But I don't know, y'all. It was okay. It was okay. Everybody and their mama and their cousin and their grandma has read that book. So I won't go into like the synopsis of that. If you want to know, just look it up and see. But is it worth reading? Yeah, it's worth reading, especially if you've had a couple of misses with Frida. But it was okay. Did I have to read that book because it got released and I needed to read it? Absolutely not. I could have read it in 2026. I don't know, but it was okay. So these are the 9 books that I read in October. Can't wait to see what November has in store. Honestly, y'all, I said I wasn't gonna do it anymore, but like I have been having trouble trying to find what I want to read because I have a lot of good ones that I want to get into and I can never make a decision. So I said I wasn't gonna do it, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and do a TBR jar picks my reads for November. And I'm probably just gonna film that right after this because it's already November 1st today. And I want to know what I'm reading for the month. Right now, I don't have the physical, it's in another room, but right now I'm reading Hello Beautiful, and I'm liking it so far. I'm not too far in. I think I'm only like 70 some pages in, 60 some pages in or something like that, but I'm really liking it so far. It's kind of like, okay, where is this going? You know what I mean? I feel like it's going to be sad somewhere in here. I don't know why, but I just feel like something in here is going to make me sad. Too early to predict, but that is definitely my first book of November, and I'm probably going to pick a few more on the TBR jar. I'm gonna sit here and think about it real quick while I edit this video and see if I want to do the TBR jar, but I really think I am. So next week, if you see me with the same sweatshirt, it's not because I don't have any clothes. It's because I'm just gonna go ahead and film that so I can get the month started and know what's gonna happen. So as always, thank you for watching my video. Make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like, make sure you share with your friends, make sure you set your notification bell, turn your bell on so you can know when I post videos. I did a poll and it asked you guys, would you rather just keep seeing my monthly wrap-ups or would you like to start seeing like weekly vlogs? Poll basically voted for me to do weekly vlogs. So I'm gonna try to get creative, but not too crazy creative to the point where I'm like making a movie up in here. But if that's what y'all want to see, I'm gonna try my best to do it. I will see y'all on the next one.